It's 6 o'clock, so we're going to go ahead and get started. My name is Daphne Arnold, and I am an admissions coordinator in the Kent School of Social Work and Family Science at U of L. And I work specifically with admissions with the MSSW program. So I will be presenting tonight. There is a PowerPoint. We try to give as much information as we can, but then also allow for questions at the end. Unfortunately, the way the Teams meeting is set up, I can't see the chat whenever I'm presenting, but Valerie will be here manning the chat or womaning the chat and answering any questions that you have. And then we're also always available for you to set up one-on-ones with us after today, or email our general email account. We try to get back to people pretty quickly, but I'll go ahead and get started. I have to apologize for the lighting. I'm not in the normal place that I present, but we work with what we have. So let's see here. Here we go. Okay, so welcome. So the admissions team here at the Kent School is myself, an admissions coordinator, and then there's another admissions coordinator named Ellie Cortez. Both of us split the alphabet. So if your last name starts with the letter A through L, I'll be working with you, and M through Z works with Ellie. Our job is to guide you through the admissions process, to answer any questions, to help look at your materials, and give them to the admissions committee. And then we are led by Valerie Miller, who's the Associate Director and the Program Manager for the MSSW program. And you'll want to remember her name because she has to. So a little bit about what I'm going to go over tonight. It's going to be a broad overview of what social work is. And then also an overview of what our MSSW program is. And we'll talk a little bit about the practicum experience in social work, campus resources that we have at U of L, how you can apply to the program, the application deadlines and other deadlines, and tuition and financial aid. And then, like I said, leave time for questions. So what is social work? A lot of times people will think of Child Protective Services when they hear the alleviation of social problems that have been caused over time.
Hi, Daphne.
So, when you are a social worker, you work to advocate on the behalf of marginalized populations and
Daphne,
create social service organizations or programs that are responsive to human needs. So social workers are superheroes. They can be found in anywhere there are people because the social issues come up from things that have happened over time that are inequitable. There's 3 levels of social work practice. There's micro social work, which involves smaller units like families or relationships. Meso social work that describes medium-sized systems. So that could be in the school setting or in a healthcare organization. And then macro social work is one that most people don't think of, but it actually is social work that involves the larger systems and making systemic change. So that could be working in policy reform, or
Daphne?
working. Yes.
Okay, something has happened to your sound, and you've gotten very, very low and can barely be heard, and you're cutting out.
Oh no. Okay. Um,
You were fine when we first started, and just about a second in, and so we'll just check it out again.
I'll stop sharing.
Now talk, because it seemed to be, but no, it was after you were sharing when it happened.
After I
Okay.
shared the PowerPoint. How is
Okay,
it
now,
now?
how is it now, audience? Can you hear okay?
Is something blocking the microphone?
She says it's still really low. Okay, mine is louder. I think that's just me though. I'm just a loud person. But
Um, Looking for like a microphone setting. I don't see any. My internet connection is strong. I'm plugged in.
yes, you look great.
Thank you. um, okay, wait. Here's the microphone. Let me see. The noise suppression is on. Spatial audio, did that help?
Something could be blocking the mic on your device. I don't know what happened. It started out really, really good, and then um can you all hear Daphne? I mean, but can you hear her at all? Or
Maybe turn off the noise suppression. How's this? Testing?
I can hear.
okay, okay. Um,
Any better?
you're very low, so just talk. Um, you're gonna have to yell. Okay,
Okay.
I'm gonna go back in hiding.
Okay.
We'll just carry on, and if anybody has any questions, or if it gets to the point where you cannot hear, just put it in the chat, and I'll make sure to jump in. Okay, everybody? We'll just roll with it. Here we go.
Okay, I'll get my loud. I mean, I did teach for a very short amount of time, and so I had to use teacher voice. So I'll try to do that.
That's much better.
Okay.
Whatever you did right just there, you're much better. So okay.
Okay. All right. So let's see here. We were talking about levels of social work practice. So let me share my screen again. All right, let's see here. Presenting mode. Okay. Micro level is social work involves smaller units like families, relationships. Meso level is working in medium sized systems like communities, community centers, school systems, medical practices, those types of things. And then macro is the larger settings that involve things like policy work that address the systemic part of social work. So here's just a slide about different types of social workers or areas that social work takes place or routes that some of our students take after earning their degree. So you can see lobbyist on there, a case manager, probation officer. Um, you could go into academics in social work and be a college professor. You could work in the career counseling setting. Some move on to do law or grant writing, all sorts of things. So it definitely is not a degree that's going to pigeonhole you and get you just one linear track for a career. The social work profession is just really broad. So a little bit of data that actually comes from the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics, which is a government organization that keeps track of jobs and reviews job reports. So the median annual earnings for social workers as of 2024 are listed here. So the median annual wage May 2024 was $61,050. Of course, these are going to be dependent on the type of organization you work for and your location. Also could depend on whether or not you obtain any sort of licensure, which I'll talk about later. And then we have there's a different breakdown between the settings of social work. So healthcare social workers their salaries are a little bit higher. And then you see educational services, local government, state government, and then mental health and substance use disorder social workers. You can see their salaries all listed here. The job outlook for social work is actually really high. 7% may not sound like much when you think of 0 to 100%, but 7% growth in the job market is a high rate of growth. There are many careers or professions that kind of hover at the 1 or 2% growth, and some even have negative growth. So that is something to consider, is that the job outlook is staying steady and even growing some. So I mentioned licensure. So licensure, there are different levels. And something important to know about our program is that our program meets the licensure requirements. So the contents of our program and the hours required for our practicums all meet the requirements for licensure in every state, so all 50 states. The master's level licensure would be the license that you would get after completing your degree. So when you go to graduate, you would sit for your state's master's level social work licensure exam, and that would make you a certified social worker, a CSW. If you wanted to continue, you could look at getting your clinical social work license. That would lead to the acronyms, or the letters after your name would be LCSW. So you might be familiar with that. Also, our program meets the licensure requirements for that in all 50 states. But that would require working under another social worker under their license and being supervised, usually for about 2 years. And that can look different depending on the organization that you're working for. Some jobs will include supervision as part of a benefit in working for them. But after you work under somebody else's licensure and obtain the amount of supervision hours, then you would sit for that state's licensure exam as well. And then you could have another level of licensure that could help your job potential and your earning potential. And so if you have any questions about licensure, whichever state that you live in will have a licensing board. So I would recommend looking on their website. I'm looking at more information if you had specific questions about that. A little bit about the Kent School. So the Kent School of Social Work and Family Science at the University of Louisville is rated the best social work program here in the state of Kentucky. I'm not sure how many of you are joining us from Kentucky. We get a lot of students from out of state that are doing our fully online program. But if you're not familiar with Louisville, it's Kentucky's largest metropolitan city. And we prepare social workers nationally and globally for careers in advanced social work. Sorry. Um, through for advanced social work practice through the lens of anti-oppression and anti-racism while promoting social justice. Our kind of vision is that we provide a generalist social work education that prepares students for ethical, evidence-informed, advanced social work practice with diverse, vulnerable, and marginalized individuals, families, groups, organizations, and communities. Our program contributes to the mission of the university as a great place to learn by providing engaged service and outreach opportunities that improve the quality of life for local and global communities. The specifics about our program is that we have two ways that you can complete it. If you have a Bachelor's of Social Work degree from a CSWE accredited school, you would qualify for our advanced standing program. And then our standard program is 60 credit hours. And you can have a bachelor's degree from any discipline. So we accept any major as long as it's from a regionally accredited institution and is a bachelor's degree. We really are proud of the individualization and customization that our program offers. We just have a lot of flexibility to hopefully meet your needs. And that includes the modality in which you want to be a student. You can take courses online. You can complete the degree fully online. Most of our classes are asynchronous, meaning there is not a live class meeting that you would attend. You may have video lectures or message boards, and your assignments and the material will still be will still progress in a timely fashion. It's not work at your own pace, but may being asynchronous, you wouldn't have like a class that you would log on to. Students are more interested in synchronous classes now, so we're hoping that we'll be able to offer more synchronous classes for that live component. And then we have fully online, or I'm sorry, we also have on-campus options.
Daphne, the PowerPoint's not progressing.
Gosh.
It's still on the Kent School slide.
How's that? For degree completion, you can complete the degree full-time or part-time. You can start full-time and go to part-time or the other way around. It's really up to your preference, how many credit hours you take each semester. We do offer classes in the summer, fall, and spring. We actually also even have a very shortened winter term. And so those courses are subject to availability, but it's really helpful for students that want to that may be working full time and don't have a lot of extra time to commit to studies. Maybe you want to complete the degree 6 credit hours a semester, or you can take as many credit hours per semester that you can handle. So some students take upwards to 15 credit hours. If you can handle that rigorous schedule. 9 credit hours per semester is considered full-time in graduate school. 9 credit hours would be full-time status, and then anything under the 9 would be part-time status. We offer some partnerships with some of the other academic programs at U of L to do a dual degree. A dual degree is when you earn 2 degrees at the same time. So the programs that we partner with, there's another program here in the Kent School that is couples and family therapy. So CFT, that would be a Master's of Science in Couples and Family Therapy. There's also a Master of Arts in Pan-African Studies that you can do a dual degree with, a Master of Arts in Women's, Gender, and Sexuality Studies. The Juris Doctorate is the professional school for law, so you can do a dual degree that way. We offer the Master of Divinity through the Louisville Seminary. You can do a dual degree with the MSSW. There's also an MA in Healthcare Ethics. Latin American and Latino Studies certificate is a graduate certificate that you can earn alongside your MSSW degree. The MSSW degree is a generalist degree, is what you would be applying for. But we also have concentrations that can highlight a special interest of yours and give you the opportunity to learn more in a certain area, especially if you desire working in that area. So we have 7 concentrations: alcohol and drug counseling, gerontology, which is the study of aging, mental health, military, psychosocial oncology / medical social work, school social work, and forensic social work. Alcohol and drug counseling and school social work both lead to an additional certificate that could be helpful when looking for jobs. Those certificates may be required if you're a social worker in an organization serving those populations. So it's nice that you can do that while earning your MSSW. The practicum education experience is a signature part of being in an MSSW program. Practicum is where you take the theoretical and you put it into practice, and you get the hands-on learning. So you use the knowledge, theories, values, and ethics into social work practice. So we have a dedicated team that dedicated staff that work to support you as a student, whether you're online or on campus, in securing the placements for the practicum. So that's not something you have to do on your own. So practicum would be on site, wherever your placement is, and you would have regular supervision and professional development. All of that would be outlined in the beginning. So, making sure that you are going to get the skills and practice that you need, and the support that you need from our practicum office in making sure that the site is legitimate. Each practicum is 2 semesters long. You can start the practicum either in fall or in spring. We don't have students start in the summer, but if you do fall to spring or spring to summer, that's considered the 2 semesters. If you're doing our 60 credit hour program, you would do 2 practicums. If you're doing our advanced standing track, then you would do 1 practicum. There's an application process for the practicum placement, and the practicum staff will reach out once students are admitted to the program and get the process started. The deadlines for our off-campus students are a little bit earlier than our on-campus students, just to ensure that they can find something wherever you are locally. So a couple questions that students sometimes have about practicum. How long will you be there and how many hours do you need? You can see the breakdown here. You'll be there for 2 semesters or the entire academic year. If you're doing the 60 credit hour program, that program is typically done in 2 to 3 years, depending on how many credit hours you take per semester. So the first practicum that you would have would be 450 hours total. And then for the second practicum that you would have, it would be 500 hours total. And then you can see about what that averages out to per week, and the kind of difference on whether you did it fall and spring or spring and summer. So you'll have a supervisor at your site, and that supervisor must be a professional that has an MSSW degree with at least 2 years of experience in the social work field, and you'll be doing direct face-to-face or virtual practice with clients, on-site learning, regular supervision, and you'll have professional development meetings. Here are some of the settings that you could get a practicum in. Alcohol and drug programs, immigrant and refugee services, schools, mental health agencies. Many of our students that have practicums that they really like or are satisfied with will often try to apply for jobs full-time after the completion of their degree. So that's a benefit of having the practicum, is already knowing the work, already being familiar with the organization and things like that. And if you are doing one of the concentrations, then your practicum would be in line with the concentrations that we have. We also have a dedicated team of advisors because of the requirements of the program and the flexibility that the program offers. We have an advisor that can help keep you on track and make sure that you have the classes that you need, that they are in the appropriate order and are going to fit the timeline to graduation that you want. So we also split up the alphabet. So A through L students work with Connie Cox, and M through Z students work with Wynobe Williams. And then they are led by Jennifer Foreman, who's the Associate Director of Advising. Got some other campus resources. If you are new to U of L, then you can take advantage of these as a student. You have all of the same rights and privileges as any student at U of L. So we have a counseling center. The planned professional development program is the graduate school's professional development kind of series. I know they do some mentoring, they do resume workshops, those types of things. It's a little bit different than the Career Center, but they do similar things to help graduate students specifically. We also have the Writing Center, the Disability Resource Center that can help with any accommodations you may need as a student. The Career Center, which has the traditional career programs, so can also help with resume writing, mock interviews, those types of things. The Center for Belonging, Access, and Engagement, so ways that you can feel connected to the university and connected to peers. And things like that. And then we also have the Center for Military Connected Students. Okay, so how to apply to graduate school. So the application requirements for the MSSW program, firstly, we do not require the GRE, the Graduate Record Exam. That's a standardized test that some programs require and we don't. We have a preferred cumulative GPA of a 3.0. And then each applicant must complete an online application through the graduate school, and that includes 2 short essay. You choose 2 essays out of 6 prompts that are graduate school essays. And then you submit official transcripts. If you're a former U of L student, then we'll have those transcripts, but we'll need any transcripts of any schools you've attended after U of L. If you are new to U of L, then we'll need all schools that you've attended and have earned academic credit from. For the purpose of admissions decisions and review, you can submit unofficial transcripts, but we will need your official transcripts before you get started. We also have a writing sample, and we require 2 letters of recommendation and a resume, and then there's a $65 application fee. There are some times when that application fee is waived, so be sure to ask us about that if you think it may apply to you. We keep our admission process as transparent as we can so that you have all the information to have a strong application. And that's what Ellie and I are also here for as admissions coordinators, is to help answer any questions about the application process and review your materials. If you did earn under 3.0 cumulative GPA for your undergraduate, there is an additional step that you can complete. It's an addendum, and the addendum kind of outlines the challenges that you had and how you have addressed those and are prepared for the rigor of graduate study. So some tips and tricks. For letter of recommendations, we recommend reaching out to more recommenders than just the 2 that you need. Many people are well-intentioned and want to help you and provide a letter of recommendation, but sometimes they just don't get to it. So I would definitely recommend reaching out to several recommenders. If you have not been enrolled in classes within the last 2 years, you can have 2 professional references. Professional references, recommenders, is anyone that has supervised you in some way in a professional setting. If you have been in courses, academic courses within the last 2 years, we'll need 1 professional reference from a former supervisor, and then we'll need 1 letter of recommendation from an instructor that you've had in class. We don't accept personal recommendations or recommenders, so those that are from coworkers, mentors, advisors, friends, things like that. We don't accept those. I spoke a little bit about the addendum, but we're happy to explain that more if you do have questions about it. Transfer credit is a little bit tricky with graduate school. We may be able to accept transfer credit if you've attended a social work program in the past, but that's really dependent on the courses, the timeline, and the grades that you've earned, and how it would equate to our program. So there's a process for that. So if you do have transfer credit that you want evaluated, you would submit the request and we'll get that back to you as soon as we can. So we've got some deadlines. If you want to start in the summer semester, the application deadline is March 20th. And to start in the fall, the application deadline is July 1st. If you want to start in the spring, the application deadline is November 1st. These deadlines give you plenty of time to apply, but we definitely recommend applying early so that you can get started on the practicum application, so that you can apply for our Kent scholarships, and so that you get the best schedule that you want, and that you can work on securing any type of funding that you may be able to get for your degree. So that's my spiel about applying early if you can. Again, once you're accepted into the program, the practicum office will help you by reaching out to you on your U of L email and get you started on that process. The placement deadlines for if you're doing a spring summer practicum are September 15th for those that are not local, and October 31st for those that are local. And then for fall to spring placements, May 15th is the deadline for non-local, and June 30th for local. The practicum office will work with you if you miss these deadlines, but they can't guarantee that you will receive a placement if you apply after those deadlines. So the cost of attendance. So I spoke about this a little bit earlier about that you can complete the degree in the manner that you would like. So if you are looking at being a full-time student, that's 9 credit hours or more, you are charged for one rate. So that's for a Kentucky resident, that's $7,652 for the semester. And then you see the non-resident or non-Kentucky applicant would be $15,554. If you are going to do part-time, so less than 9 credit hours, it changes to being charged per credit hour. So you see the rates there, $850 a credit hour or $1,729 per credit hour. And then our online program is only charged at the credit hour rate of $850 per credit hour. And if you have questions about that tuition, we recommend speaking with the Bursar's office. And when you're looking at their website, you want to look at the graduate programs. So Kent School Scholarships. We offer scholarships every fall and spring. To be eligible for a scholarship, you have to have a FAFSA on file. So make sure that you get that submitted. And we have a portal that you would apply for the scholarship through. Our scholarships are not full scholarships and are not going to cover the cost of your tuition, but we hope that students will be able to get some scholarship. Scholarships can be very detailed in who and how that money is just distributed. So we take efforts to make sure that each student can, we only require the one application, and all of the scholarships that could apply are looked at for the students. There are other ways that you can help fund your education, your graduate education. So if you've heard of graduate assistantships, we do not have specific graduate assistantships in the Kent School, but there are several MSSW students that have secured graduate assistantships in other campus offices, such as Housing and Residence Life, financial aid, the Peace Office, which is the Violence Prevention and Intervention Office. The graduate school will sometimes have graduate assistantships and others. So those are things that you can pursue once you've been accepted to the program that can help with either giving students a stipend or covering some or more of the tuition. There's also a Traeger Institute internship. This internship gives a healthy stipend, but it is social work that works with students that want to work with the elderly. I know they also have rule settings, but it is a really great opportunity for students that are interested in those populations, and I'd encourage you to look at their website. Again, it's called the Flourish Behavioral Health Internship Program by the Traeger Institute. So what can you do now to prepare? So if you are currently an undergraduate student, or sometimes we have students from other graduate programs, you'll want to establish and maintain good relationships with your professors to help with the letter of recommendation piece. Want to be aware of your cumulative undergraduate GPA and work to keep it above a 3.0. If below a 3.0, you'll want to think about what you can do to maintain a strong GPA and perhaps be strategic and work with an academic advisor to see how you can improve your GPA. Definitely want to talk to people that you know that have completed a graduate program and get their opinions about their experience pursuing graduate work. And think about the different type of social work or practicums that interest you and what that can look like for your career goals. And you can also set up a one-on-one meeting with one of our admissions coordinators. You can follow the Kent School on social media. We have Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn. So you can see that there. And we're here to help. So we have our general email address on there. It's msswkent@louisville.edu. And then you can also view our website that has just information about the academic part of the program, about what you'll learn in the classroom. It has the checklist about every part of the application that you'll need. And then if you have specific questions about practicum education, like I said, we do have staff dedicated to that, so you can reach out and speak to them. And you can go ahead and scan that QR code if you want to be placed on our list to receive more information. We do not try to spam you with lots of emails, but we do want you to be aware of information sessions like this or things like that to get you connected to the Kent School and answer any questions that you have about our program. And then our fearless leader of the MSSW program is pictured here. She is awesome and would definitely be happy to speak with you if you had any other questions about the profession of social work, the faculty, anything like that. She's definitely hands-on with students, and we really appreciate that. All right, so let's see here. I'm gonna stop sharing. All right. Anyone have any questions not not covered yet? Looks like Valerie was able to answer some good questions in the chat.
Daphne, one student or one, I guess, inquirer has asked if we could go back and look at the slides that they missed when they weren't progressing.
Sure thing.
I think did you talk about scholarships? I was answering questions, so.
Yeah,
Okay.
I spoke a little bit about scholarships,
Okay.
but I can definitely
Well, I'm going to put something in the chat for them.
okay, here's the BLS slide. I think that was the Kent School. Oh, here, I think this was maybe the start of when it wasn't progressing. The difference between the advanced standing and the regular credit hour programs. The options that you can complete the degree, both on campus or online, part-time, full-time, when you can start the program, the dual degrees, concentrations. I think I had caught up then. Any other topics people want to see?
It was the slide after this Kent School, the slide right after this. Okay. Okay, I'm going to go on and while Daphne has it on there, I'm going to go on and answer a couple of questions that are in the chat rather than typing because for the 30-hour standing, you would complete 500 hours. Okay, it would be 500 hours of total, 250 each semester because you're in the advanced program. And that leads right into the next question, what says, how is advanced standing determined? Okay, for advanced standing is the applicants who already have their BSW. If you've got a BSW or your Bachelor of Social Work when you were an undergraduate, then you'll come into the MSSW program as an advanced student because you've already had the foundational courses and laid the foundation for your master. If you do not have a BSW or you have any other degree other than a BSW, that means you are a regular 60-hour applicant. And your first year or first set of courses is your foundation courses. And then after you've completed your foundation courses, you move into your advanced courses then. Does that answer your question? Sorry about that.
Well, thanks for hanging in there with all of my difficulties
There's another
online.
question. We have another question. Will applicants be required to be interviewed? We do not interview applicants. I'm sorry, I've worked from home today and I haven't spoke to anybody all day long. So now I'm talking and I'm coughing. We do not, for the MSSW program, we do not perform interviews. Your application is basically your interview. If occasionally, if English is not your first language, you might have to, speak with someone to determine that you do understand English well enough because the classes are taught in English. So you might have a conversation, but that would be the only time anyone would be interviewed for, and it would just be basic conversation for the MSSW. And I've been there 3 years. We've never interviewed anyone for our program. Now the MSCFT, which is also under our umbrella, for that program, you do have interviews. They select 30 people a year or semester to enter the program for the Master of Science in Couples and Family Therapy. And so they do interview for that program. You can do a dual degree with the MSCFT along with us, and there will be an interview for that program. Before ours, no interviews. No, no, your degree is, when you say your degree, are you meaning your undergraduate degree is in psychology? No undergraduate courses can apply to the graduate program. Okay, are there any students in the currently in the program? Oh, absolutely. I'm sure we have students. What I would suggest is you can reach out to one of the coordinators and they can help you get in contact with former students or current students or our advising office who is actually working with students who are in the program right now. And they can help to connect you with students who might be willing to talk about the program. I think that's a good idea. It's always good to get with someone and know what you're getting into and talk to someone who's actually doing it right now. You might want to talk to two people because you may talk to one person, they say they hate it, and another person say they love it. So always talk to more than one. It's always how we're looking at it. The glass is half full or half empty. I want you to know, after the program is over, I'm sorry, I'm looking over here at my other screen. We are still here to answer questions. You will think of something at midnight tonight and you'll say, oh, I wish I would have asked that when I had the chance. Send an email. We won't answer you at midnight tonight. We're going to be sound asleep, but we will answer you tomorrow and get your answers to you. And if we can't answer you, we'll make sure that we find out who can answer your question and get you to that spot. We won't just say we don't know. We'll tell you who to go to or connect you with someone who can answer your questions. So, feel free to email us with questions. And there's no stupid question or anything like that. It's if you don't know, you just don't know. And trust me, I've even had people email me and say, where do I park? And I would find out where they parked because that's what we do. This is our MSSW Kent email. It looks like a general email address. However, Daphne and Ellie monitor this email daily. And
it's more
as
like
the
my
emails,
personal email.
yes, I was trying to say it pops right up on their screen when an email comes through. They automatically look at it, and if your last name falls in their alpha split, they're going to answer your email.
And it will come back from that email, but we'll also have our name on there, and we sign our name when we send emails from it. But it's a legit email.
Yes, yes, and and I also have access to that email. The reason we do that is so that if someone emails and say Daphne's not there, and they happen to get me, then I can look back and see, oh, okay, I see what they're asking and what the conversation has been. Do we have any other questions? And Daphne, I'll let you take back over. I was just answering questions and
Oh, yeah.
they were asking quicker than I could type, so.
Let's see. We'll go ahead and stop sharing then, unless there's any other slides that anybody else wanted to see. But we just, like I said earlier, thank you for spending some time with us tonight, and thanks for bearing with our technical difficulties. We try to host information sessions monthly, if not even a little bit more. So if you want all of this information a second time around, feel free to sign up for another information session. But we are here to help, and we never get tired of your questions. So please go ahead and feel free to email us, give us a call, set up a one-on-one meeting.
We
And
have some more emails scheduled, and I just wanted to throw in a plug for one of them. I think in March we have an an info session scheduled that is strictly for 60-hour students. So if you have a bachelor's degree in anything other than social work, we'll be having an info session in March that will just discuss the things that are needed for a 60-hour student. Sorry about that, Daphne.
that's okay.
Go right ahead. Now you go ahead. I won't say another word. I'm going to be quiet.
No, I see one more question from Veronica about the culture of the Kent School, both community-wise, student, professor-wise, even advisor-student. The Kent School has had an online program for a really long time, and something that we have a big emphasis on is still having a connection between the professors and the students. We want students to feel like they're a part of something, even if they are virtual. So our director actually started having, is it monthly like check-ins, hosted online, totally come and go, but providing a space for students kind of to meet casually or to discuss, how things are going in the program and to get to know other students, things like that. I think that there is a large commitment to excellence. So the professors that you have are they've worked in their fields, they are experts, and they want to share. They want to expand the knowledge of social work and social work practice. And so our faculty are just great. Um, and we want to be hands-on. So a lot of graduate programs do not have an academic advisor, but because we want to support students and helping students finish their degrees, and like I said earlier, keep on track. Advising is just like us, and in terms of being accessible to students, returning, communication in a timely manner, and really working with whatever timeline that you have and whatever professional interests you have, making sure that you get the classes that you want, and things like that. So that would be my opinion about the Kent School. Do you have anything to add, Val?
I think, yes, I think you nailed it. And, our advisors are there too. You can come see them in person, or they'll meet with you online or on the phone even. So there's a lot, there's always someone. The culture is everybody wants to support, and your success is our success. Um, I don't know the answer to your question, Greg. How long do you have to have lived in Kentucky to be considered a resident for the university? I would check with the graduate school or maybe the registrar's office to see what their categories are and how long you would have had to have lived here. I really don't, I don't want to give you any misguided information. Um, Now, Rebecca, on your question, honestly, that's difficult to answer as well, because you say, do you have estimate of how much time is suggested to allocate each week for full-time versus part-time? Think of if you're if you're trying to work, I would absolutely say do not try to go full-time. If you don't work full-time and try to go to school full-time. Um, because when you do that, you're burning the candle at both ends, and it will wear you out. It's just difficult. You would want to go part time if you're going to try to work. If you are not working, then you can dedicate all of your time, then full time. Just keep in mind that graduate school is a little more difficult. It's a little more demanding than undergraduate. And so you'll have more in depth, more studying, more questions, not always more, you don't have the exams like you have in undergraduate, but you will have papers, you'll have assignments, and it is time consuming. So, and it's always according to what your situation is. And honestly, the classes you're taking too. Some classes take a lot more time than others. And some things come natural and some things don't. I've had some classes that I could just whiz through, and then I had other classes that I had to devote my whole life to for the semester just to get out. So it's that there's so many variables. But one thing I
And
can say is don't work full time and take full time classes.
and there's not a formalized difference between full-time and part-time in terms of you can do full-time for one semester, and then if your season of life is a little bit different and you're not able to do full-time the next semester, totally fine. You can go down to part-time. So it wouldn't require any, changing anything in a formal way.
Yes.
That's all up to you. And some students don't like to take classes in the summer, so they just do fall and spring. And other students want to get through it as quick as possible and will be full time, fall, spring, summer, fall, or however they're going to do it. But that's where I think our program specifically at the Kent School is great to meet your needs. All right. Well, thank you all
Thank
again.
you.
We'll hang out if anybody has any other questions, but if not, feel free to log off and catch up with us whenever you have questions or if we can help.
Yeah.
Have a good night, everyone.
Good night. Thank you, Daphne. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Valerie.
Hi, good evening. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Hi, I just wanted to ask. My name is Veronica. Hi. Oh, okay.
Hi.
Hi. Um, so I know you guys stated that summer and winter some are like terms are condensed. What is the maximum credit hours for those terms? Is it different?
Yes. In winter, you can only take one class
Okay, okay,
because
just
it's a
winter.
it's very condensed. Yes,
Like,
Right,
it's a
of
very
course.
short. Yes. And so you could
Okay.
take one class. In summer, I'm not sure how many you're limited, how many you're allowed to take. I think I'm not sure there's actually a limit on how many you can take at U of L.
I don't
Mhm.
think
But once again, the courses are just a little bit condensed, so you'll be doing, more work and also it's according to course offerings, and if what you need is taught during the summer.
Okay, okay. Okay, that was all I had to ask. Thank you guys
Okay.
so much.
Oh,
Thank you
you're
guys.
welcome.
thank
Thank you.
Stay safe. Bye-bye.
Thanks. Bye-bye. You too. Whew. Okay, I'll stop recording and okay.